Welcome everybody to Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room.
Brought to you by Salvaje Army Entertainment.
This is Don.
And
Hey, so today, man, we're gonna get into some good soldier stories, man. Some problem child that we had while we were going through. Doug, do you want to start, or you want?
I think I'm going to kick this off.
All right.
Dude. So I'm gonna bring some up. No names.
Yep.
No names whatsoever. Right. But initial invasion. Right.
Okay.
Initial invasion. You think at that time I think I was a staff sergeant during the initial invasion.
Pricky six.
A pricky six. And but anyway, like all I had to worry about was the M88, my driver, and fucking getting from point A to point B, right?
Okay. Simple
and
enough.
As we took over buildings and shit, right, they became sleeping quarters or whatever,
Right.
headquarters or whatever, all the way from the border to Baghdad.
Right.
So as we got closer and closer to Baghdad, I can't really remember where it was that we stopped. But Rob was one of my, he was my platoon sergeant. He was another staff sergeant. He's a good friend of mine. And he's still a good friend of mine, years later. And, Michael Simone,
Yep.
we know him.
Yeah.
And Taco and everybody, we're all from the, engineers and shit. And, in the Army, you can never say, and I'm finding out in the civilian world, you can't fucking say it either. You've seen everything.
Right.
You need to just shut the fuck up, rethink what the fuck you're gonna say, because I guarantee you have not seen or heard everything.
Yep.
Right.
Soldier hears you say that, they're definitely gonna say, "Hold my beer."
Hold my beer. So we took over this almost like what I put you in Ramadi kind of. It's just this line of fucking buildings and shit. And soldiers would take, they want to sleep in their truck, outside their truck, blah, 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 blah. I slept in my tank, and me and my driver, we slept in the tank. So I didn't give a fuck about what buildings we took over or whatever. But they would grab cots, they would go in, they'd set up and shit. And Iraq is hot as hell, right? Hot as fuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the shade, it was like 120, right? You step out of the shade, you're like, oh my God, right?
Yep.
So anyway, people would, me not knowing when the fuck we were gonna get hit and shit. Usually I kept my uniform on the whole time, took my boots off or something. That was about it. People would strip down to nothing. Strip down to nothing. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So they, they set up their cots and everything, and one dude just so happened to fucking, he couldn't stand the heat. He's like, "Oh, we took over this building. Let me get comfortable, right?" Stripped butt ass naked, laying on top of his cot. It was a specialist. And so when he was laying on his cot, butt ass naked, he put one in washcloth or rag or whatever you want to call it over his junk and figured, fuck it, I'm gonna go to sleep, right? And then there was another guy there. I don't know really if he was, just wanting to try do whatever he could to go home, if he was gay or what it is that was running through this kid's head, right? But Rob, my platoon sergeant, a buddy of mine, right? He come to me and he's just like, "Man, you're never gonna fucking believe this." I was like, "What, man? What?" Bro, he's like, "This dude laid in his cot, threw a rag over his shit. When he woke up in the morning, supposedly he had morning wood, not the farm. He had morning wood, and the other specialist was over there at his cot jerking his junk. The guy wakes up, freaks out, which what kills me, because you're in a war zone. You got a loaded M16 or M4 at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like either that or you're gonna beat the fuck out of somebody, right?
Yeah.
But none of that happened. He went to the platoon sergeant and he reported to platoon sergeant shit that he woke up and he opened his eyes. I guess it was a good fucking dream. And the dude sitting there just jacking in his tail. It's just like, are you fucking serious? I mean, it's just like when Rob came to us and told us that, we're just like, are you what? No, it did not fucking happen. Yeah, it did happen, right? So, I mean, like, you know how we are in the military, so we're just like, so you enjoyed it then, huh? Another guy would be like, you didn't let him finish?
That's what's going through my head. Do you let him finish and then report it?
I mean, it's kind of confusing, right?
Yeah.
You know, you already been there for like what? You were sitting on the border for like a month, 2 months, and then all of a sudden you go to takes you all this time to get to Baghdad because like top speed was what, like 19 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
You finally get to fucking somewhere in Baghdad, and all of a sudden this happens, and so it's just like, you know, I'm sure he was doing it while you were sleeping. He's probably halfway there, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
You know, so why? I mean, would you let him finish? I mean,
I think I probably would.
It's a toss up for most people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he could have kept it to himself, and he fucking could have went about his own way and shit. But he would have been like not his own hand, right?
Right.
Like his left hand, right?
Strange. Yeah.
Stranger.
I mean, that's a battle buddy. He's seen a guy in need, adapted and overcame.
I would never call you battle again in my life.
Or maybe he overcome. I don't know which it was.
Well, obviously it didn't happen at all. So I'm just saying. But anyway.
So, you know, I have a lot of stories from when I was a young NCO. So I just made E5, right? And they give me this soldier, and he was a private, brand new, comes to me and he says, hey, so what I got to do to get my wife enrolled in high school, which kind of really baffled me. And I said, I don't know. How old's your wife? And he said she was 18, but when he decided to go in the military, she decided to drop out of high school so they could get married, and he wanted her to get her diploma. So, you know, I did all the leg search and got her enrolled in high school, right? So I'm actually on staff duty now.
Is this at Stewart?
No, this was in Bosnia or in Germany.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually on staff duty this night, and I get a phone call that CID, the first sergeant, and the chaplain are headed over to his house, right? I guess him and his wife got into a fight, not a physical fight, but an argument. And he got mad and decided to go buy some weed. And he left. So to get even with him, she called all three of these people, CID, chaplain, first sergeant, and said, I've been trying to get my husband to stop doing drugs. And we got into an argument, and he just left to go buy some more drugs. So when he comes back, all of them are sitting in his front room. He walks in, he's got weed in his pocket. To try to one up her, he said, I may have drugs, but at least I'm not the one that's at high school bringing home high school girls because you like watching me fuck them. So now CID's like, well, this just changed into a whole nother case. Yeah. So I guess it was her idea, and she enjoyed watching him have sex. So she would talk high school girls into coming over. They would get high and have sex. Yeah. So needless to say, he did not make it in the Army much longer. We did chapter him.
So have we talked about that one soldier?
Which one?
In the Marine, ex-Marine, Connex.
We have briefly talked.
Briefly?
Yeah.
and that was my like first. I was first sergeant, wasn't I? Yeah.
You was. You
Oh,
was
that's
rocked.
terrible. I was frocked.
You were pretending to be a
I
first
was pretend. I was role playing. What? So I mean, man, I'll tell you what. What's weird is we brought it up one time about coming back, his home life, and I'll be a motherfucker if he didn't like our fucking Facebook pages after that. The day after, like we talked about this dude,
Yeah.
we even threw his last name out there, and like
Yeah.
all of a sudden I was like texting you like, dude, you see who just liked our site? I was like, who the fuck told him that? It was the same thing about that 1E5. We were
Yep.
talking about being a little midget bitch and shit, right? The next day, fucking all of a sudden there he is. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
You're wishing him to come in.
It's like fucking gremlins, man. I got them all wet and shit. It's like fuck. But anyway, do you remember that?
I do.
I mean, the shit that like went on behind our back and shit, and like the what would it be called? I mean, it's not even. Is it hazing?
They
A
got
serious hazing.
no. They
right?
gave him a letter of reprimand for non-becoming of an NCO
Oh,
and assault on a junior enlisted soldier.
so supposedly he took him to that Connex and beat the hell out of him, and then
After
like
he smoked it, that happened after he made him pull all these chains out and drag these chains up and down the road, and then had him go in the container, shut the door, and then beat the shit out of me.
but like dude, like so when he did his when the guy that got beat up did his report shit, like he knew how many steps it was from that container to the fucking boiler room or where headquarters where we were set up. He knew exactly how many steps it took to get to my fucking room. And I'm just like, what? I was like, the dude never fucking knocked on my fucking door, either door, my office or there. I don't know what the fuck's going on, right?
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy dude. That was a crazy investigation right there. And I kind of, it was a Full Metal Jacket, man. I mean, I was waiting for that dude to get beat up with a fucking sock and some soap. I mean, that was pretty bad.
He was a troubled soldier. He really was, and he was not a trustworthy soldier.
Oh, he cried wolf on every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, before we deployed, we had issues. We were called out to his house several times. So had the two NCOs, because you called in the two NCOs, and they interviewed two NCOs, and they didn't even take the time to get their stories straight. They both had different stories. That's what got him in trouble, was because they couldn't even get their stories straight.
Yeah.
So at that point, they became more non-trustworthy than Mr. Squidward.
We'll stick with Squidward.
So I mean, yeah.
So if we want to extend this story about Squidward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like when we came back was a whole nother fucking story, right?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I've never had anybody come to me, right, and say, how do I get my wife's boyfriend out of my house?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Say that one more time. Are you serious?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I sleep on the couch and they sleep in the bedroom. And I'm like, and, honestly, in my head, I'm thinking like, you didn't beat that motherfucker's ass?
You couldn't.
Well, no, that's beside. I would at least try, right?
Right.
And it's just like, no, they come out and watch TV with me every now and again and stuff. I mean, what
like they let me eat every once in a while.
You're the one paying the bills and buying the groceries and shit, and they're eating it and fucking just living it up, and you just like sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
That is so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
How and I'm sure it's not the only one out there that ever dealt with that shit, right?
I had that happen as a civilian. One of our dispatchers, that same scenario was going on. I just shook my head, man. But you know, I can blow your mind a little bit further. You know, after that soldier left, he made E5.
No,
He sure
no,
did.
no, no, no.
He got out as Sergeant Squidward.
Mm. See, this is supposed to be like a funny fucking podcast and shit. No,
Oh, that's pretty fucking funny.
I went so many years that you just totally fucked me over right now. Like what the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
yeah.
So when you were in Korea, did you have any stories about fucking all these privates that would go and get some or marry the locals or
My roommate,
marry the fucking drinky girls?
my roommate paid off a debt twice, 5 grand twice.
Uh,
So he uh he was in love with this chick. I still remember the club. She worked at the Mustang Club, is what it was called, right? We'd go down there all the time. He hung out with her, yada yada yada, and he decided he was going to ask her to marry him.
mm,
So he did. She accepted under the term that she would not leave unless he paid off her debt because she was afraid these people would come after her family, right? So he calls his mom and borrows $5,000 to pay off her debt. I still remember the conversation like it happened yesterday. We're sitting in the room and he goes, I think I'm going to hold off on paying off her debt just to make sure she really wants to be with me. So he leads her on and on and on. And like 3 months down the road, he still has his money. But she finally calls bullshit and says, you're just fucking lying to me. You're going to leave me and not pay off this debt and yada, yada, yada. Now she got a youngin', right?
Okay.
And so they break up and he goes like fucking Dr.
Nuts.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah.
Crazy.
He goes down to the bill. He's buying whores every night, right? Running them in front of her, you know, like look who I got, yada yada yada. Buying girls for other guys, drinking every fucking night. I mean, he fucking went crazy, right? 3 or 4 months before he's supposed to rotate, he gets back with her.
Rotate back to the States.
Yeah, PCS. So he calls mom again and borrows another 5 grand. This time he pays off the debt right away.
Man, his family must have some money, man.
He told me they took it off credit cards.
Holy shit.
So he then is now rushing to try to get the marriage license and the visas and everything. He hey, my hat off. He got it all done and rotate back state. And then I heard like, I don't know, he went nuts and tried to kill her and everything else in the States. But you know, it didn't turn out.
I've only known a couple people that shit actually fucking worked.
Yeah.
You know, that whole like bring back somebody from another country and shit. I've only known a couple. I'm sure there's more out there. And congrats to them, you know, and shit if it worked out for them.
Right.
But a lot of them didn't. And, you know, but I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So
you remember the oh, you didn't, you was still at E7 at this time. This is when you were both in Bravo company. I was given a soldier who came to us AWOL. Right? I'll go on with the story. You might recognize him later throughout the story. So it turned out what brought up all this was he tried to sign in. It was a weekend.
Oh no, yeah, I remember.
The staff duty said, "Where's your leave form?" And he said, "I don't have one. I can't find it. I lost it." And he said, "Well, we can't in process you and we can't sign you in until you bring us a leave form. Go get it. Call your unit and get a leave form." So he calls and like months go by. He still don't have. He just finally said, "Fuck it. I guess I'm not in the military no more because I can't get a leave form." So him and his wife get into an argument. She brings him on base and stops in front of the in processing area and walks into the door and looks at the staff duty and says, "My husband's AWOL. Here he is. Can you take him?" So they took him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And y'all gave him to me. We worked through this whole thing. We were getting ready to go to the field, yada, yada, yada. Needless to say, he came out of it without even, he got an Article 15,
That
but
was it.
yeah, he got an Article 15. They took one pay grade from him and then pinned him right back again because they never did anything about it. And he made it for time and service. So he went from E4 to E3 back to E4 in like the same week. And then they pinned a good conduct medal on him like 3 months later, right? So we get all this worked out. And I mean, he was a great mechanic, hard worker, you know. And I get a phone call one day. I'm sitting on the couch. It's a Sunday. I'll never forget this day. I still give him shit about this. And I'm sitting there and he says, "Hey, son, they're coming for me." I said, "Who's coming for you?" He said, "Man, they're going to shoot me." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Man, I had to work on my car this morning, and tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and me and my wife, we've gone through some bad times, so I wanted to get her something nice, and I wasn't paying attention, and I was doing 70 through Midway."
Through Midway.
Yeah, through Midway, Georgia. And the cops got behind me, and he's like, "I didn't even think about it. I just hit the gas."
Yeah.
I said, "So are you in jail?" He said, "No, man, I'm in the swamp. I got water halfway up to my chest, and they're standing out on the road yelling that they're going to shoot me. What should I do?" I said, "Turn yourself in." He looked at, literally, this is what he said. He said, "Man, I'm really hungry though. I think I think I'm going to go get something to eat, and then I'll turn myself in." So he goes to Dairy Queen, gets some food, then goes and turns himself in.
He did turn himself in.
Yeah, I had to go down and get him. Yep.
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
There's a swamp by Dairy Queen?
No, he by the time he circled around, they had left. So okay. He got in his car and drove off.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was Fort Campbell, and I just made E5. I didn't make it out of there to Korea yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my soldiers, I can't remember his MOS, but I got called to go to his house. Back then, he was like, "You will inspect their houses," right, and shit. I mean, that was my first duty station. And I was on my almost fourth year, probably my fourth year at Campbell. And they were like, "Yeah, you need to go inspect this dude's house. The landlord's calling us. They got problems, blah, blah, blah." And they call it a house, but it was a trailer. There was a lot of them at Campbell.
Yeah. In Georgia, too.
I was wondering what I really wanted to talk to the landlord, but I didn't get to talk to him first. And man, the dude's name was Samuels, I think. I don't even fucking know, man. But so I walk into this house, and the dude was raising like 2 pit bulls, right? They were cool as fuck though. But them some bitches, dude, they destroyed the doors were like laying down. There was holes holes all over this fucking trailer, and there's claw marks on it, so you can see the pit ate through the walls of this fucking trailer. Like every fucking where I went, there was a hole. Then I'm like, "Are you fucking?" And me being like, this was one of my first times ever fucking having to deal with this shit. I'm just like, the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Or do you not come home? I mean, do you not pay attention what the fuck your dog's doing?
Yeah.
I was like, "You live like this?" And he had a little kid too. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, man?"
Wow.
So, I mean, it just blew my fucking mind, man. He ended up getting in trouble, having to pay the fucking thing and shit. And I mean, It was an old ass trailer too, man. I felt sorry for the dude actually, but he didn't take care of his fucking animals, man. I mean, what the fuck?
We had a soldier in and I've talked about this guy in the past. This is one of the boxing episodes when I was at the 160th. But anyways, he he got in trouble. Housing kicked him out because of the way he was living, right? And we transferred him from the 160th to work for housing.
Housing even wasn't that good back
No,
then either.
no. This is at Hunter.
I know.
You know,
I know.
and I'm like, so we train you. I'm like, how do you work for housing and you get kicked out of housing? They transferred him back to us. They're like, we don't want him. Take him. So he comes back to me. They've moved off base now, right? I just give him an Article 15 for animal cruelty because while they were moving, they left their dogs in a crate in the house on base. As soon as we opened up the door to go in there to help him get the rest of his shit out, I instantly puked. Dude, there was shit and piss everywhere. There was paw prints on the walls from the cats that was locked in the bedrooms that they'd been walking in piss and shit. So we end up, long story short, we end up chaptering him, right?
Right.
And he told his wife that he was deploying. And like,
did he deploy?
No, no, we chaptered him. So his last day when he came to get his signatures, the commander was gone. He went in the commander's office and stole his laptop that was sitting on the desk. The only reason why we know this is because we had some soldiers rotating back from deployment and fucking seen him in Atlanta at the airport because he was going back to Puerto Rico. And
back to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's where he was from.
Oh, okay.
So they seen, they thought
that's an awesome place to hide. By the way.
Yeah. Well, they thought he was deploying because he had the government computer with him. And that's how we know he stole it. But like 2 months later, we get a phone call from his wife, and she goes, you know when my husband's coming home? We're like, what are you talking about? She goes, he deployed like 2 months ago. He should be rotating back. We said, we kicked him out of the army. He's in Puerto Rico. Man, she was mad as hell. He left her and her kids. None of the kids was his. He just walked away from it, man. Wow, they're the same ones that hit him with a baseball bat. Wow. Yeah, that kid, man, he was out there.
It continues to happen though.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure. What? So let me tell you about this. So number one, I have nothing against anybody's like relationship status or whatever the fuck you are, you know, kind of thing. But I've never had to deal with it before. It made me awkward, right? Mm-hmm. Feel awkward. So I'm sitting at my desk one day. I let everybody go away for lunch, right? And I was like, I got it. Go ahead, go away. So everybody leaves for fucking lunch, right? And this is in El Paso. I don't know, my third company, I think. I don't know, fourth company, third company, whatever. I don't care. But so I'm sitting there in my office, right? And doing whatever the fuck it is I had to get done. And somebody comes up to the window. So I go up to see what the fuck they need and shit, you know. And dude was like, I need name change paperwork, right? So I'm like, oh, this dude just got married. His wife must be like fucking, you know, military or something. He just trying to change her name, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, congrats, whatever, you know, what's your wife's name? And he's like, my husband. And I'm like, wait, what? That's, I mean, so I was just like, what the, why my fucking clerks ain't back here? That's what I was thinking, right? And a couple of them know and probably remember this shit, but I was just standing there just like, fuck. Then he goes like this, he goes, this is my husband right here, right? And I'm like, the fuck?
Nice to
I
meet
don't
you.
know the fucking name and shit. But I was just like, I've never had to deal with that shit before. And I'm just like, I don't know what paperwork you need. You're going to have to stand here and stand fast. Clerk should be back in a minute. And I fucking walked back to my office and I'm just like,
Never again will everybody go to tell.
I was just like, man, I try to be nice. One fucking day I try to be fucking nice. And this happens, right? No, I mean, no offense against anybody, but that just caught me off guard. I never had to deal with that.
Well, that was when it was integrating. I mean, that was, how many classes over and over and over. I mean, it don't matter how many classes you get, you can't prepare for it.
Yeah. You definitely cannot prepare for it. If I fucking would have known, I guess, in advance that this dude was that way or whatever, maybe it would have been different. But it just so caught me off guard. Right there, nobody around. I'm just like, before I say, and I do say some shit that's stupid. Before I say anything stupid, I need to walk the fuck away from this situation, right?
Yeah.
And I think I did good. I did good. I walked away from the situation, and
I bet that was the first time both eyes went this way. What the hell?
I'm not sure what my eyes did, but I know I was speechless. Like at first, I'm just like
overload.
Oh, dude, it's fucking crazy, man. Just fucking nuts.
That's funny, man.
It can. I mean, man. Again, you cannot say you've heard or seen it all because it will attack you.
Yep.
Not attack you, but
it's like Murphy's Law, man.
My Lord.
You're just daring it to top this story. I dare you. And they will go out and do it.
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Hold my beer.
There's plenty of stories out there. We just haven't uncovered them yet, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey, so if anybody listens to this episode, when I posted on the Facebook page, and if you were in, give us a little brief scenario of some of the stories that you had to deal with. I'd love to hear it. Hey, everybody knows why we do this, man. We're out here trying to put an end to veteran suicide, and if we can make you laugh a little bit and get you thinking about tomorrow, and maybe even get you to reach out for some help if you need it. The fastest way is always going to be the suicide prevention line. 988 extension 1 is the easiest way. Savahi Army Official at TikTok or YouTube. Savahi Army at Facebook. Support at SavahiArmy.com is the quickest way to reach us. If you go to our webpage, you can also hit the little chat button and it'll reach one of us, and we'll be glad to talk with you.
Hey, if you're on the West Coast, there's always Chief Rathbun, leavingthesideline.org. You can always check him out. He has no problem either him reaching out or somebody in his organization reaching out to you. On the East, if you're on the East Coast, you're female, we have Brooke Jackson. She is awesome. She has the organization called She's the Veteran.org, dealing with a lot of women veterans that have, PTSD, TBI, stuff like that. So they have plenty of outings if you want to reach out to them as well. We also, September 10th, have Mo Vets Outdoors event going on.
Vetapalooza.
Vetapalooza.
So it is in Warrenton, Missouri, at the Warrenton County Fairgrounds. If you are a veteran, it is $5 to get in. All right. There's going to be a stand-up comedian, a couple bands. All the performers are veterans. They have all served in some capacity, whether it be Army or Marines or Air Force. I'm not sure which branches all of them have been in, but they have all served. Anheuser-Busch is one of the big sponsors. If you're a civilian, it's $25 to get in. Or if you want to get into the VIP area that puts you next to the stage, provides you with four or five drinks plus some food from Rolling Smoke. It is $100 a ticket. But we will be up there. We'll be going live up there. So if you can't make it, you should be able to still see some of it. You can stop by, say hi, man. Maybe even hop on a podcast with us. And if you mention the show, you might find yourself walking away with a guest beer.
A guest beer.
A guest beer.
We don't know what the guest beer is yet, but we will have guest beer.
All right. Well, I hope to see y'all at Betapalooza because it's going to be a good time. It's the proceeds go to a great organization. Vets Outdoors, if you're in the Missouri area or you want to pay for the Missouri out of resident hunting permit or fishing permit, they have a lot of good trips, and you can go on their Facebook page, events at Vets Outdoors, and they have hunting trips, fishing trips, all guided, and you can sign up, and if you get selected, man, you just follow instructions. It's all paid for, other than your licensing if you're out of state or whatever. So that's for veterans only, whether you were combat or reserves, National Guard, doesn't matter. All right, it's for all veterans. So check them out. You can find all these links on our top right corner of our webpage. I got quick links for each of these organizations, and that is at savajearmy.com. Y'all take care, man. Be safe.